Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I'm going to start doing about 2 live streams a day in addition to an upload, so watch the upload after this segment. Go to H.A. Goodman's other channel as well. That will be below in the pinned comment. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about tonight, and it's going to be awesome. But first, I want to say how terrible it is, and this is one of the great rappers of all time, Biz Markie, one of the great musical artists. He passed away today at 57 years old, Biz Markie. And my friends and I loved him growing up. He was an amazing, DMX passed away many months back. And now Biz Markie. These are legends, legendary musical artists. I would say both DMX and Biz Markie transcend music. And I don't know, there aren't many musicians that transcend music, but he was a really beautiful soul. And it's so devastating to hear that. So Biz Markie passed away. One of the most amazing musical artists of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat, thank you to Eric and Luke. Eric and Luke, thank you so much for being amazing moderators. And to my super chat, thank you so much. You helped me do these live streams, and I appreciate it greatly. There is an article below in the description section, and it's an article in Slate. And it's an article in Slate the publication Slate, talking about, well, we know what the audit is really about. We know what the Arizona recount is really about. And what it's really about is trying to, let me see if this rings a bell. Trying to say that, well, Trump, he's trying to blame his loss on something other than the fact he lost. Does that make any sense? Does that ring a bell, Democrats, with you blaming Russia for 4 years? Where's the evidence? And it's like, where's the data? Where's the evidence? They have no evidence at all. And now they're talking about, well, Trump and his supporters and anyone who likes him, they have extreme viewpoints, and who knows, they're capable of anything. And, if somebody is adhering to extreme viewpoints, be careful. And they can't stand the fact, see, here's the thing. Instead of governing, instead of saying, okay, this is what we've done since January. We passed the Medicare for All bill. We passed a Green New Deal legislation since we care about climate change. The economy is rebounding. People's lives are better. Crime has decreased. Inflation, we've gotten a hold on inflation. Things are better now. Life is getting back to normal. The experts saved us. The opposite of what I just said is happening. The exact opposite. Biden's America, it promised to be this utopia, this world where Trump didn't cause chaos and mayhem. And it's like the opposite is true. They have nothing to talk about. They have nothing to talk about. You would think they would be talking about how successful Biden is. Instead, every day on MSNBC and CNN, they bring up Trump. This is like what they've done is they have turned their voting base. They have turned Trump into the same type of political character that the Clintons have been for decades. Politicians who get away with that, or stock trades right after a classified briefing. So you have stock trades right after a classified briefing that Republicans and Democrats got away with. You would think that maybe you would think that maybe they could find an actual crime he committed. They said he worked with Russia. He didn't. They said he was an illegitimate president. He was very legitimate. And everything they accused him of, every single thing they accused him of, the opposite was true. Every single thing they accused him of, the opposite was true. If you type in Trump right now, Daily Beast interview directly implicates Trump in tax scheme. Where's the breakthrough interview? Like, you had interviews that implicated Biden's son. You had numerous interviews that implicated Biden himself. You have numerous interviews that implicated Clinton. You have numerous interviews that implicate a whole bunch of Democrats. And investigators look into the scheme at the Trump organization to avoid paying taxes on employee benefits. One witness has set the scene. One witness? Have enough evidence. Why didn't they go after Trump directly? This isn't rocket science. They got his returns because they wanted to make they said that he worked with Russia. He had compromat. Where's the compromat? Every single thing they say is refuted by reality. Every single allegation is completely baseless, but they get into this hysterical frenzy. And they like, oh, he's getting away with something. We know it. It's like, well, what? What is he getting away with? What is he getting away with? I want to know. And so the Arizona recount, what's taking place, I mean, I can go on, like, I have my critique in terms of the public relations issue. I still think that President Trump and people around President Trump and the politicians that support President Trump. Associated Press here. Few AZ misconduct cases discrediting Trump claims. His claims are discredited. Arizona County officials have identified fewer than 200 cases. What? Of misconduct? I'm worth $3 million? It's like, okay, Arizona County. So how does that refute what he says? I don't understand that. It doesn't. Okay, you found 200 potential cases. Who was investigating? I mean, this issue with the third-party tech firm and Arizona Republicans, who knows what the tally is going to be? It could be that they say, well, President Trump got actually, a certain amount of votes more than he was credited for, and if this type of thing happened in other counties, then you're looking at perhaps a different outcome. Or they could say that just within Maricopa alone, he got the needed number. That might not be what they'll say. But an Associated Press investigation, the AP is not, the Associated Press has turned into the Washington Post and the New York Times. The Associated Press uses words like baseless and like they never used baseless when it came to Trump and Russia and Mueller, which was completely baseless, which was predicated upon the most absurd tinfoil hat theories, promoted by people who did commit perjury like Brennan and Clapper. An AP investigation found 182 cases where problems were clear enough that officials referred them to investigators to further review. No one has been convicted. No person's vote was counted. Okay, see, they're making claims. No one was counted. No vote was counted twice. AP findings align with previous studies that show misconduct is rare. This is not even a rebuttal to anything he said. This is not even a rebuttal. It's actually quite rare. So, the officials only found 182 cases. Okay, how hard were they looking? How many cases of Russian interference did you find? Yet 4 years, all we heard was Russia interfered. How many votes were altered by Russian operatives or Facebook ads? I want to know. 0, 1, 2, 11,000, 10,000, 20, 30,000? How many votes were altered by Russian Facebook ads that we had to hear about every single day for 4 years? How many Russian operatives paid Trump? How about 0? How about the whole thing was fabricated and made up? Yet the AP never stated that the claims were baseless against Trump. They never said the Steele dossier was complete nonsense. They said the opposite was said by the AP and the Associated Press and Washington Post and Vanity Fair and Esquire, Rolling Stone. They all said the same, that here was the template for Trump Russia. Good people were saying things about Trump, and those things might be true. Stay tuned. Same bat channel. Same bad time. We don't know. He could have worked with Putin. Dun, dun, dun. It might have happened. You know what? All we need to see is his tax returns. Dun, dun, dun. What? We obtained them? He paid for what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Morgan Weaver! Thank you. Thank you. Morgan Weaver! Thank you. It's going good, thank goodness. Morgan, thank you. Thank you, Morgan. Greatly appreciated. To my super chat, thank you, Morgan. Thank you so very much. The fact of the matter is, officials across the state are highly invested in helping to ensure the integrity. And part of that entails taking potential voter misconduct seriously. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows, aside from 92% negative media coverage. From Trump's perspective, not my own, so I'm abiding by YouTube policies. From Trump's perspective, he has, and from this from the perspective of 74 million Americans, nobody knows why red states, 2 in particular, went to a man that, let's just say, has very little charisma and has accomplished very little in aggregate for all his years in public service. Nobody knows why. That's the real problem. They question the integrity because they don't understand why. They don't understand why. You can say, well, Trump was very divisive. But then why did he get Ohio and Florida? Why did he do so well on that evening and then not so well the next day? If he was so divisive, he wouldn't have done well at all. It would have been very clear from the very beginning. It would never have been close in that evening. Okay, I was looking. Morgan, thank you so very much. I was looking on Twitter, and it was interesting. That night, I was typing in the name of a certain expert expert pundit, an expert an expert who is very interested in polls, or polling expert, data-driven expert. And I would type in the name on Twitter just to see what Democrats, liberals, morally superior, wonderful liberal Democrats were saying. And I remember that night, it was like the sky had fallen. They were all livid. They all couldn't believe this wasn't the, astounding victory they were promised. Because, yet again, the polls were wrong. Yet again, the polls were wrong. The numbers, the data was wrong. The data-driven analysis was wrong. And I remember, I kept refreshing, I don't have Twitter, so I do not have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. And I was just, you can actually look at, you can look at different things on Twitter. You don't have to have an account. So let me tell you something. Morally superior liberal Democratic Party world was in shambles. It wasn't, they were not happy. They were livid, furious, because they were expecting, and then things changed. Okay, do we have any, the interesting thing is, if you turn, from Trump's perspective, if you turn the night of into the month of, then Republicans are doomed forever. And Mitt Romney and others, they don't care. They simply don't care. They don't like Trump's populist policies. They don't want to bring Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. They don't want to impose tariffs. They don't want to antagonize media. So they're relics, they're dinosaurs, and they're very happy just sitting by Cheney and others. They're very happy sitting by and saying, well, Trump is just too much. He's just too divisive. Even though they voted alongside him 90+% of the time. Kinzinger and Cheney voted alongside Trump 90+% of the time. Think about that for a second. 90+% of the time. So, what they have to do, media has been bracing themselves every day. Arizona cannot have certain public relations, I wouldn't say disasters, but certain public relation PR losses. Okay, the other day, the Senate president, the ballots don't match. You don't bring that up to a radio show. Because then you have every... They don't know what they're doing. Don't listen. This is a recount that was upheld, started by a state legislature, and upheld by two separate judges. How is that not the epitome of democracy? Okay? From the public relations perspective, they do not want Arizona to come up with any numbers that deviate or that give the Orange Menace a triumphant outcome, which wouldn't change until 2024. We have to wait until 2024 for President Trump to run again. something about record low unemployment. I mean, one thing you could say about, you can't say that he wasn't good for the economy. You can't say that. Well, there was debt, and how's the debt now? How's everything now? It is July. Has life, now we're getting back to the same world we had last March. Because the experts and the Democratic experts, the Democratic partisan, the experts who always vote Democrat, let's put it that way. If they end society and the economy as we know it, I don't know how we're going to come back as a country. I swear to God, I don't know how economically. I don't know how, and like, it's absolute insanity. And people, like, you have poll numbers that show Biden is losing support. Okay? He's losing support even though he has virtually universally positive coverage. You will not find a story about his son's emails. You will not find a story about any potential conflicts of interest. You won't find a story about business associates linked to him or his son. You won't find a story about quid pro quo or possible pay-to-play schemes. Anything leveled against Biden is conjecture. It's baseless. You have nothing. You have no evidence at all. And meanwhile, they don't hold the same standards. Standards when accusing Trump. If they accused Biden in the same manner they accused Trump, I mean, just think where his poll numbers would be. He has every single possible advantage in terms of media coverage. And still 2022 does not look good for the House for Democrats. You're looking at historically, the president's party suffers tremendous losses, historically. Of course, the stream is... Sorry about that. So, I mean, you type in Trump, few AZ voter misconduct cases, discrediting Trump's claims. That doesn't discredit his claims. That does not discredit his claims at all. There could be few cases and he could be correct. Why would that discredit Trump's claims? I want to know this. Why? Okay, yes. Well, the officials didn't find... Yeah, the officials didn't... Did they investigate? Well, yeah, they investigated. Did they really investigate? Because the prior recounts were 1% to 2% of ballots. And so, the counting every single ballot, taking pictures of each, it's like... This new recount, the Arizona recount, is supposed to be a lot more thorough. We'll see. We'll see. If they come out with a number that all they have to do, ladies and gentlemen, all they have to do, and this is all they had to do, all they have to do is come out with a number and then make some kind of conclusion that's plausible. Anything like, this is why I don't get, like, they have these briefings. It's like, you could have simply come out with an interim report or some kind of, you could have simply come out with a report instead of a briefing. Because you had a hearing the other day and it's like, well, it's like, his son's emails mean something. Actually, they mean a great deal, actually. But if you look, they don't want Arizona to come out with anything that's favorable to Trump politically because they view him as this existential issue. They're still obsessed with him. He has been out of office. Like, Arizona is going to be, it could be a catastrophic failure for Republicans. It could be a catastrophic failure for Democrats. It could be a monumental victory for Republicans. It could be a monumental victory for Democrats. Or, yeah, it could be a tremendous victory, public relations victory for Democrats. Because if you don't communicate the results in a manner that alleviates any concern or addresses any rebuttal, they're going to try to tear apart and eviscerate any number that is derived. Okay? They're going to try to tear apart and eviscerate any number that was derived. So you need Arizona to communicate in a manner that, in a way that they can say, okay, we weren't able to get this number because of this issue or that issue. So here you have a Slate article. Let's just look at the Slate article here. The Slate article is interesting. It's below in the pinned comment. And we know exactly what Trump-backed Arizona audit is going to do. Well, if you know exactly what it's going to do, why are you worried? Or why even bring it up? Why even bring it up? On Thursday, Arizona Senator Karen Fann offered the public its clearest picture yet, holding a hearing with all. Okay, so they went after the Cyber Ninja CEO, who's pretending to, and he offered very little about what his recount and analysis has uncovered. He instead said that he had much work still to do and that he would save his irrefutable evidence for his final report. Okay, he's asking State Senate to issue further demands for Republican-dominated Maricopa and to let him go ahead with a county-wide canvass that the Justice Department has told might violate federal law. Why? I don't understand why it would violate federal law. You have the census people coming to your door every year there's a census conducted. So, indeed, the only Republican senators taking part in the hearing made a show of repeatedly insisting that unless they give what he wants, the recount will be incomplete. In other words, not much. Immediately, the former president urged to release the report right away. Immediately, the former president urged auditors to release Logan's report right away and use the hearing to prop up his big lie. It's Trump's big lie. What was Trump Russia? The big truth? You spent 4 years. You spent 4 years spreading lies about Trump Russia. It's like the narcissism is unbelievable. The narcissism is unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you. Well, what's the difference between Biden and Madam Secretary? Tell me what the difference is. Thank you. In one scenario, people committed crimes. Thank you so very, very much. Well, actually, in both scenarios. Why was all of this happening? Trump lost Arizona by the narrowest of margins back in November, and it has become sort of a talisman in his quest to convince America. You don't have to convince America. Thank you so very, very much. If you look, percent. Most Republicans still believe, this was May 24th, that it was stolen. May opinion poll, 53% of Republicans believe Trump is the true Oval Office occupant, compared with 3% of Democrats. So you don't have to, like, this is the thing. You are not, when you've spent 4 years lying about Trump Russia, even if you're right, let's just, okay, there's no, I mean, it is true there's no evidence of widespread misconduct or a plot implemented by Democrats to switch the outcome. There's no evidence of a widespread plot. That's true. That's true. Okay? That still doesn't address the concerns leveled by Trump. It still doesn't, thank you, Mark. That's yanking bass on grass, hello. It still doesn't address the concerns. You have 53% of Republicans believe Trump is the legitimate one. And 3% of Democrats. 3%. About 1/4 of all adults falsely believe. So 25, actually it's like 30, close to 30%. So 1/3 of Americans believe our beloved president won because of misconduct. 1/3 of Americans, according to one poll. 1/3, roughly 1/3 of Americans believe our beloved president. Come on now. Pay them more. This is when he gets upset. Pay them more. It's like, well, yeah, they don't have, but the businesses don't have money because you shut down society because of science. Weird science. Roughly 1/3 of Americans believe that President Biden, was a result of widespread misconduct. A new Monmouth poll. 1/3, 32%. That's with the entire American political establishment propping up. The entire American political establishment. The entire American political establishment. The polling underscores how pervasive Trump's false claims his false claims were. What about your false claims? How did your false claims influence the country? They spent 4 years dividing this country. Then they said, well, Trump's dividing the country. Like, well, you didn't give him a moment's rest. You gave him not even a moment's rest. I have to tell you, though, in all honesty, I'm worried about the ability of Arizona Republicans to communicate. So, like, here you have this one issue just for algorithm. It's like, it's so difficult here. So, except no, there's a logical explanation that, so-and-so tweeted out almost immediately. The roles would appear different because the dates, question, were received and processed on that day. Don't you know? So, you have these bizarre anomalies that are either explained or disregarded. So, we haven't had... Okay, so here's the issue. Trump is successful. Let's assume for a second that Trump is lying through his teeth. He's lying. He's lying, Trump. Lying. He's a horrible liar. What does that say about Democrats when they can't communicate their vantage point effectively, when they have every conceivable possible advantage from a public relations standpoint? Every conceivable possible advantage. That's why, this suppression of dialogue and speech and debate and discussion. If you believe misinformation, it could cause people's existence. Why don't you communicate yourself? Maybe, you know what? Here's actually maybe the problem. Maybe it's not Republicans or Trump that are trying to, harm the country. Maybe it's that nobody trusts you because you actually lied all the time and you were wrong about everything. Every major issue, from Clinton winning in a landslide to Trump working with Putin in the Kremlin, to ignoring the fact we had record low unemployment. We had record low unemployment. They didn't care, by the way. They didn't care when there was record low unemployment. They don't care that Biden is president now. They got exactly what they wanted. Raisin, hello. They got exactly what they wanted. It's interesting because, like, they got exactly what they wanted. You have Biden. You have Biden in the Oval Office. Daniel David. I think the whole world can see Trump. Okay, things are even worse here in Canada than the blue estates. Trudeau has ruined this once good country. Please do not let America fall like this. Thank you, David. Thank you, David. You know, I am Siler. Hello. David, thank you. Or Daniel. Daniel David, thank you so very, very much. Daniel David, thank you. I think that it's interesting because if you look at the U.S., Canada, and the U.K., the entire planet is a great deal more conservative. Well, a great deal more conservative than Canada. And a great deal more conservative than the UK. And actually, I think still we're more conservative than the UK and Canada. I think Canada's more liberal. And the United Kingdom is more liberal than the US. I don't understand. It's interesting, too, because a lot of it is a response to Trump. But I don't understand the... I just don't understand. Like, Canada and the UK didn't have President Trump as a foil for the conservatives within those countries. I don't understand why they went so far left. Daniel, David, thank you. Daniel, David, thank you so very, very much. And Trudeau is an example. He got caught. He got caught with a situation that should have canceled his political career. Of course, it was forgiven. Of course, it was forgiven. I mean, the public relations spin is just unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. Daniel David, thank you so very, very much. It's interesting to see. It would be interesting to see what would have taken place had Clinton won, which I told the world she wouldn't when I was on the left. Nobody listened. Like, that was... If I went out on a limb about, like, Clinton being nominee... Okay, like, that's not... I don't see that. The only thing that I could say that I apologize for, that I'm sorry about, is, anybody who used my analysis to make... So, yeah, like, I would... That's the only apology I have, because I myself believed it. I couldn't believe. But see, even again, that analysis was rooted in logic. Do you think Prince Charming, Rip Van Winkle, or do you think Rip Van Winkle, or I'm trying to think of a name that is YouTube algorithm friendly. Does it make any sense to you? Because at least Clinton, like, can speak and communicate. But they haven't been right. Like, media has not been right on anything. They said they spent 2 years saying Clinton's going to win a landslide. Then they spent 4 years saying she lost because of Russia. Then they're saying that Trump is sowing the end. He's still leading to the end. Like, he's still responsible for the end of the world. They're still complaining. It's like they get everything they want, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Daniel David, thank you. Maximal Smart, hello, thank you. They got everything they possibly wanted. And I tell you, ultimately, it's not the Democratic Party's fault at all. It is not the Democratic Party's fault. I'm telling you, it's not the Democratic Party's fault. It's the Republican Party's fault. If someone pushes you into shark-infested waters and you're what's for dinner, do you blame the shark? Do you say, oh my goodness, this great white shark is so horrible? Are these piranha? I mean, the nerve. The nerve of that hungry lion. I mean, really. You know, push me out of the Jeep during the safari. I mean, honestly. You're upset with the person who put you in that situation, not the animal. And it's like you don't Shark Week. Hello, Shane. You don't go ahead. You don't blame the animal. You don't blame the shark. Okay? If there's chum in the water, you don't blame the shark. You don't blame the piranha. You say, hey, why was I literally thrown into this situation? Who pushed me into the water? And you have a Republican Party that doesn't push back on anything. I mean, rarely Mitch McConnell. I'm a lion of the Republican Party. I'm always fighting for justice, truth and justice in the American way. I call me Superman in Kentucky. That's a bird. That's a plane. No, it's the turtle. It's the turtle. It's me, Mitchell McConnell. When you look at Mitchell McConnell, do you feel certain wonderful sensations? They don't really, like... Insta-Patriot, hello? Nerdy, hello? Insta-Patriot, will Trump have any... I think so. I would love to see President Trump. Bulldog, hello? I would love to see President Trump. I think that he's going to run again. I think that they're trying desperately to try to kick him out of contention. And you look at 2022. Look, the best is yet to come. You have to understand, if you're a boxer, and it's like, Rocky versus Drago. Your opponent has every possible advantage. Every possible advantage. And they give you their best shot, the best everything. And you withstand everything they have. It's not a stretch to say, okay, the best is yet to come. They have leveled everything at Trump. And now they're relegated to, he paid for someone's tuition. They're vengeful. You're talking about petulant, vengeful people who accuse Trump of exactly what they've always done. if you had 1/3 of the investigations into either Clinton, you would have already numerous crimes. Or pick a Democrat, or Dianne Feinstein, or pick a Republican, Richard Burr. If they went ahead and investigated those stock trades, classified briefings right before you sell stocks, what do you think would have happened? Exactly, Giacomo, exactly. Oh my God, don't get me started on the left. They are imploding like I knew they would. I knew that they would implode. Years back. Thank God I left that world. Oh my God. Why don't you, if you just say, you could just say, the vote blue no matter who people, okay? The vote blue no matter who people. They're just always going to vote blue no matter who. So don't say that you're a socialist or a democratic socialist or this type of socialist or communist. Or if you're Rose Twitter, then you're just a Democrat. That's fine. You're a Democrat. You're going to vote Democrat always. You will not get Medicare for all or Green New Deal. That's green. Those are Green Party policies. Vote Green Party. But then you will lose friends to do that. I think that you need Republicans in 2022. You need Republicans in 2022 to push back. One thing President Trump could have done, he didn't have the benefit of an actual political party backing him. He was his own political party. He basically was a third party. Trump was basically a third party that helped a dinosaur relic of a political party, the Republican Party. Okay, they think you have Republicans if we just got back to what we're good at, which is being wholesome. I remember when we were voting to destabilize regions of the world with Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. Good people. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Come on. It's true that they caused never-ending suffering and sorrow, but they didn't tweet. And Trump did. And he's orange and he's mean, and what he says gets into the minds of really deranged people, and they're capable of anything. Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld were good people, and they made a mistake. And Lincoln Project people are good people. Can we just get back to the way things used to be? And Ball, hello. That's what they really thank you, Chris, thank you. Daniel David J Spot 51. USA is the greatest nation ever created. I agree. Let's keep it that way. We must never give up. If you give up, then you are not an American. Sebastian Gorka. Daniel David, thank you. J Spot 51. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Well, the thing is, they hide behind semantics. In inverted Earth. Oh, these are Signe Tulupin, hello. I'm a good Republican. And you hold my hand. Take my hand, liberal. Take my hand, liberal. Take my hand. In a show of unity and love. Take my hand. No, that my hand.
Trump has taken the soul of this nation. And he has taken it, and he's gone to the bathroom with it, and the Constitution, and democracy. And Mittens Romney, look how good he was, good man, Mitt Romney. In 2012, he put his dog on top of his car. That's all he ever did wrong. He was not like Trump with his tweets and meanness. He makes fun of people. He's a bully. Mittens Romney never said anything to anybody except he said half the country was a bunch of grifters. But other than that, nothing. He never did anything wrong. He's a good person. Daniel David, thank you. Paul Bartlett, hello. J-Spot. The Lincoln Project people are good, sensible Republicans. I want a sensible Republican. Can we have a sensible... I mean, you just lost. Why don't you just deal with it like we did for 4 years? Accusing you of Russia, working with Putin to be installed by Putin. Even Jimmy Carter said that. Jimmy Carter, he's a good Democrat who ushered in 12 years of Republican rule. 12 years! Because Jimmy Carter had such a failed presidency, and then you get documentaries. He's a rock and roll president, yeah. I used to do a good Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, I think it's obvious that the Kremlin installed Trump. I mean, it's obvious. These are the good liberals who are like so far up the certain organs of the intel agencies. Hey, what do you think? Do you think that? Yeah, we think that Trump colluded with Russia. Do you have any evidence? Well, no direct evidence, but we think that he did. We're confident. Well, if you're confident, that's all we need. That's evidence. That's called evidence. Confidence. Well, Trump is confident that, that everything is, Trump, confidence? No, Trump, bad. I just think that you need Devin Nunes, and they say like this is like I'm gonna do an upload right after this in about like half an hour after this. They say that like people say, oh, Durham, oh my God, Durham, yeah, right. Durham's not gonna do anything. The Durham probe isn't gonna do anything. They get away with everything. Well, why do you think they get away with everything? Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that's the case? I don't know, they just do. I mean, do you think maybe it has to do with the fact that the Republican Party is pretty much non-existent as a political party? You used to have two opposing political parties. Now you have a Republican Party that cannot accept the Orange Menace controls it. So you talk about grifters, the grift. See, like, people have called me a grifter. I'm the opposite of a grifter. I'm the opposite. I went to the less lucrative. Like, supporting Trump is not as lucrative as saying that he worked with Russia and that he's a monster and he's not a good person, and that's the money-making endeavor. Okay? You have people with mediocre content that have 1 million+ subs because they just parrot and repeat and regurgitate anything CNN says. The you-know-what flows downhill. And it's gobbled up by millions of people who can't stand Trump. And they'll believe anything. Anything.
Paul, hello. I just think that you look at the Democratic Party. They are not only unified in terms of a message. They're not only completely unified, but they have a. They're not only completely unified, but they have a the benefit and the luxury of the Washington Post and the New York Times. You will never get any journalist defending Trump. There has not been a journalist who defended Trump at the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Rolling Stone. I mean, you name it, New York Magazine, The Atlantic. You cannot find a journalist who's defended Trump. Maybe inadvertently, like saying like Trump is not that bad. What? You can't find. They are all in lockstep. They have this blind obedience to this fantasy. Why not talk about all the good things Biden is doing? Oh, maybe there aren't any. Maybe there aren't many good things he's doing. He's done some good things, actually, a couple here and there. But Trump paved the way. Especially, I mean, if he ends up bringing home Americans, that's Trump. That's not Biden. That's President Trump. See, the only thing I will say about President Trump, okay, at least I'm not CNN. Trump didn't lose the House, Senate, and presidency. Republicans lost the House, Senate, and presidency. Trump defeated Clinton in 2016 for the Oval Office. The Republicans in the House in 2018 had record low unemployment, and they investigated Trump. They allowed Jeff Sessions and Paul Ryan allowed a Mueller probe to investigate a Republican Party. It wasn't really only Trump. It was a Republican Party. Then the Senate, you're looking at establishment Republicans that suddenly pretended to be populist and Republicans within states that didn't back Trump. See, the interesting thing is, if you want to say, well, they showed integrity. Where's the Democrats showing integrity when it comes to, so like the Democratic Party is always right? You think that Dianne Feinstein thought that Trump worked with Russia? Nope, none of these people really. You think Adam Schiff really believed Trump worked with? He didn't at all. These are actors. These are actors. These are actors, ladies and gentlemen. I've been on MSNBC and CNN, and I've seen, it's Hollywood. It's not, they're acting. Politicians are actors generally. Trump is not really an actor at all. He has zero reverence for the political process. Zero reverence. He doesn't care. This is why they view him in such, one of the reasons they view him in such disdain. So, Fox Business is good. At least I'm not the venture capitalist funded people who are facing a discrimination suit. At least I'm not them. You know, I always wondered, what would it take for the left to finally see what I saw about 6 years ago? Not patting myself on the back, not a problem. I'll pat myself on the back. Not patting myself on the back, but, you know. I told everybody. Nobody listened. You know, it's a good thing, actually, nobody listens to me. It's actually a good thing. I'm very happy that 99.999% of humanity doesn't know who I am and doesn't care about anything I say. I like that.
But I told people, I said, watch out. Watch out for the people who are very wealthy Democratic Socialists. I said that. They wouldn't listen. I said, they're acting. They're not telling the truth. They don't believe it. They don't believe any. They're vote blue no matter who. They're Democratic operatives, which is fine. There are certain pundits on the left. They're just Democrats. It's fine. I vote against them. That's why one of the reasons I love Trump. Well, I mean, neoconservatives in my book mean interventionists. It's been morphed into a topic that I disagree with. But I told people a long time ago, I said, you know, if you tweet all the time, and if you talk about Medicare for all, and you give these lectures and sermons, and you preach, and you give these, messages on Twitter about how people are losing their lives because of no single payer and Medicare for all, and you don't even want to vote in the House of Representatives after and then AOC does this thing. It's like this, on the channel, because I started off as a Bernie Sanders supporter. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. No, that's according to the Huffington. Yeah, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. But in addition to, you can spend, if you have $1, give it so we can ditch Mitch. Just $1 to ditch Mitch. I thought of that all myself. I am a very smart person. My name is Chuck Schumer. If you want to ditch Mitch, donate $1 to 1-800-Democrats. Trump loves Putin. But aside from those commercials, you get AOC has a commercial. And Trump, really? Okay. He bamboozled so many people. Okay, did he go to prison for it? That's right. No evidence. Okay. This is like when they don't have anything on Trump, so then they're like, he has done so many bad things, you have no idea. Okay, well, can you name one that in a court of law you can indict him on? What did he do in a court of law? He's done so many bad things. He's done so many horrible, horrible things, Trump. Well, name one that's a criminal act. He did this. Well, then why wasn't he indicted for it? You're so naive. You're so naive. I could name you. I could name perjury with James Comey, the top secret intelligence. I could go get. You want to ask me? I'll give you 20 criminal acts. Stock trades, pay-to-play schemes. How can you use your influence on behalf of the company? And then if you ask me, how come they weren't indicted? Ask James Comey. He said there was no intent. There obviously was. Or the media that doesn't even look at it. You have the entire American political establishment leveled against Trump. They have nothing. Nothing. They have absolutely nothing. Gabriel! No, impossible. It is impossible. Chris, thank you. It is impossible for Trump to be reinstated. Absolutely impossible. So it is impossible. Anyone telling you otherwise, it is impossible for Trump to be reinstated. Trump reinstatement is similar to Trump Russia. Both are fabricated. Gabriel, thank you. Thank you, Gabriel. The only thing is, Signé Toulouse, I think it was Shakespeare who said that. Or Voltaire. I think it was Voltaire who said that. Um, his orangeness. He's so orange. So what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. AOC has this fundraising commercial. It's a fantastic commercial. Didn't she defeat a guy named Joe Crowley? Okay. And she's like at a desk and, she's like, I'm going to spend 2 minutes, if you don't mind, telling you all the successful things that we passed, the legislation we passed in the Democratic Party. Not one mention of Medicare for All, Green New Deal, student loan debt legislation. I don't think. From what I understand, they're not. Biden promised to forgive $10,000 in debt remains unfulfilled. I'm not laughing. Like, I had to pay all my student loans. Took me forever. It took me forever. Okay? It took me forever. In fact, it wasn't many years back that years back, I finally paid them off. But for me, bringing home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts is infinitely more important than Medicare for All or Green New Deal or student loan debt. For me. But for today's lefties, so then Biden doesn't even fulfill that. So then AOC went on for 2 minutes about all the wonderful legislation that Pelosi passed. You could have had Crowley. It would have been the same thing. Student loan borrowers may get more time without having to make payments. Wow, that's exactly what Bernie Sanders was saying. I have a new updated student loan free college tuition plan. My plan is, according to CNBC, I think it's very fantastic. Student loan borrowers may get more time without having to make payments. Huh? How do you like them? How do you like them apples? Good? No? Wow, what's the matter? Not good? Come on. I'll be here all week. Try the veal. It's like this gigantic racket. This gigantic racket. It's unbelievable. The racket is unbelievable. You have this gigantic racket. They promise the world. They give, at the end of the day, if you're on the left, if you're only going to vote Democrat. Look, I think that there are honest people on the left, like Jimmy Dore, who I disagree with. I disagree with Jimmy on topics like Israel, a lot of topics pertaining to Trump. I disagree with Jimmy Dore on those topics, but I respect him because he's not. I respect Jimmy Dore because he has the courage not to vote Democrat. Okay, he would vote for Tulsi Gabbard, as would I. He's not voting for Clinton or Biden. Neither did I. I voted for President Trump. I don't believe Jimmy Dore did. But at least you know what he says is genuine. He's not part of a matrix. He's not blue no matter who. If you listen to somebody that no matter what happens, will only tell you to vote Democrat, like everything, you can look at a person and say, okay, any news topic is going to be covered from the vantage point of this person wanting you to vote for a political party. If you're watching a self-described socialist or democratic socialist or edgy Democrat or edgy lefty, and everything they say is coming at you from the vantage point of whatever is good for a political party, that person isn't really giving you their honest feelings or opinions or viewpoints.
That person is filtering, like, either just trying desperately to justify things that can't be justified. So when Bernie was cheated, they said, "Well, it's you know what, the bigger issue is Trump." No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. That wasn't the bigger issue at all. That's why I was like still on the left. I was in like this, the left is like a gigantic cult. So I voted for Jill Stein, but I would much rather vote for president. If I could go back, I'd vote for Trump. He was a good president in terms of accomplishments. The media meltdown, that was an issue. That was an issue. Alice, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Check out in about, I would say, a half an hour. I will have in about a half an hour, ladies and gentlemen, I will have an upload on this channel. So check out in a half an hour the upload. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a fantastic Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Eric and Luke, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in about a half an hour on this channel for the